To prepare for moving, I had come to the house I used to share with my ex-husband. My sister, acting all high and mighty, was already lounging on the couch like she owned the place. I continued to pack in silence. "Hey, how long are you gonna be here? Get out of this house already." "Yeah, sis, you're not part of this house anymore." The two of them mocked me, trying to drive me out, reminding me I'm an outsider now. Sigh, why did I ever spend over 10 years with that guy? "Hey, are you listening? Get out, will you?" "All right, I'll be gone soon." Just then, the doorbell rang. I couldn't help but smirk. It wasn't planned, but it was good that they were both here. "You two, blissfully ignorant, are at the peak of happiness now, but I'll make sure you realize that such fake love and happiness won't last long." Thinking this, I opened the front door. My name is Amy. After joining a major corporation, I climbed the ranks to a managerial position and led a busy life as a woman in her 30s. Engrossed in work, I suddenly found myself over 30, and just before turning 35, I started thinking seriously about marriage. That's when I married my boyfriend, Tommy. We had been dating since our student days, for over 10 years. Initially, we lived in a cramped apartment, but as we aged, we moved to a house, considering future children and societal expectations. What a spacious and comfortable house! It's like a dream. Oh yeah. Just don't forget it's a house with a beautiful, capable wife. Right. Thanks for marrying me, Amy. We replaced old furniture and appliances before registering our marriage. Thus, Tommy and my married life began. Having been together for a long time, we had no major issues and supported each other. My in-laws were kind people, and I started thinking about having kids. Then, suddenly, I heard from my family that my younger sister Jane was moving nearby due to a job transfer. She is my younger sister, 10 years older than me, and was often spoiled by our parents as a child. I never felt jealous, but she seemed to have a competitive streak, often comparing our looks and trying to one-up me. But that was when I was very young. As adults, we interacted less and maintained a healthy distance. Despite some discomfort, I thought it might be fun to catch up, and there's little chance that I'll be the sole target of competition like in the old days. Jane called. "Hello? Sis? Congrats on your wedding." "Thanks. Your house must be huge, right? I'd love to see the interior." "It's nothing special. Having visitors, especially family like Jane, can be nerve-wracking." Reluctantly, I agreed to let her visit once. "Wow, so stylish. Oh, this sofa is so soft." Even though I was inwardly reluctant, I finally agreed to her visit, giving in to her insistence of just once. "Wow, so stylish. Oh, this sofa is so soft. Jane, you always have such fresh reactions. Cute." Jane started a solo house tour, bouncing on the sofa and playing with the latest appliances. Worse, Tommy found her antics adorable. I sighed deeply. Even though she's my sister, I have my own family and home now. And she is already 25 years old. She should be more aware of her actions as an adult. But as her older sister, I felt that saying too much might be overstepping. I just need to set clear boundaries. Just ask her to refrain from visiting. That's all. However, Tommy seemed to have a different idea. He started communicating with Jane, and whenever she had time, she'd come over to our house, chatting away. Often, she would stay for long hours, even asking to spend the night. She wore an overwhelming amount of luxury brand perfume, leaving its strong scent lingering wherever she went. Having my sister's perfume smell persist in our house was not pleasant. Then, Jane's phone rang with a song by a popular musician. "It's a call from a friend. I'll use the next room. Wait a minute." Frustrated with her inconsiderate behavior, I felt deflated. As I was almost getting dizzy with the familiar scent she left behind, I took the opportunity when Jane was away to talk to him. "Hey, it seems like you're constantly in touch with her. Can you please stop inviting her over almost every day? Why? What's wrong with that? Moderation is important, don't you think? She is an adult, and it's troublesome if she hangs around here almost every day. You're being too picky. It's fine. She moved here alone and feels lonely. It's not about that. The other day, she even brought her laundry to wash here. Jane doesn't seem to realize this is a married couple's home. Finally losing patience, I asked him not to invite Jane anymore. It seemed quicker to make him understand than to convince her, who is much younger. After all, she only seemed to be in touch with him now. Oh, makes sense. Huh? You're just jealous of your younger sister. What? She is charming and a good kid. It's cute that you're jealous. I was speechless. That wasn't the point. Why couldn't he understand? A mix of sadness, anger, and frustration overwhelmed me, feeling like my dignity was being trampled on. Sure, there might have been times when I felt jealous of Jane, but this was different. It was heartbreaking to feel that Tommy didn't share the vision of our future together. And there was the matter of children. I wanted to spend weekends alone with him, just relaxing. But he probably didn't understand that. My vision blurred with tears. Before he could notice, I quickly wiped them away and ended the conversation. I hastily scrubbed and wiped it off so that he would not realize it. That's enough. Whether he was aware of my tears or not, after that, the frequency of him inviting her to the house drastically decreased. Reflecting on the possibility that I might have been a bit too sensitive, I was pleased that my feelings had reached him. And as the scent of her perfume faded away from inside the house, I felt a sense of relief as if the everyday routine before her arrival was returning. A few months later, something happens. He started coming home late, even though he usually returned before me. Despite usually coming home after me, he began to return home after midnight, often saying he had to work overtime. And as her perfume scent faded from our home, I felt a sense of relief as our normal life seemed to return. But then one day, as he returned home and we passed each other, I greeted him with welcome back. At that moment, a certain scent drifted past my nose. Hey, are you wearing perfume? I turned and asked him. What? No, I'm not wearing any. With a puzzled look, he headed to take a shower. I couldn't stop trembling. The scent was the same as the perfume she wore. But the discomfort didn't end there. His phone on the desk started vibrating, and I approached it. Then, a familiar ringtone began to play. Wait, this song is? It was the same one Jane had set. On checking, it was a song by a young girl group, not typically his taste. He certainly had a phase as a band member, so I know he loves music. However, the genre and his preferences are clearly too different. Why would he smell like her perfume? Could they be meeting secretly? I tried to rationalize it as a coincidence. But the uneasy feeling persisted. I checked Tommy's pants while he was showering. What? I found a card. It seemed like a limited-time promotion, with several stamps on it, indicating recent frequent use. If it had been from a bar or club, it might have been better. But no, it was a hotel loyalty card. In that moment, my suspicion turned into certainty. Strangely, I felt a sense of resignation. They were having an affair. I kept the card as key evidence and quietly left the changing room. A few days later, I visited a detective agency and requested an investigation into them. Among the options offered, there was a service to cut ties, but I declined it. Apparently, finding the hotel stamp card was a decisive factor in the investigation, which soon yielded results. Jane recently moved to this area. It seems their relationship started soon after her move. Armed with the detective's confirmation, I decided to confront them. Sis, what's this about? It's unusual for you to call us like this. Sit next to him. I arranged them side by side across the table from me and presented the photos of their affair obtained from the detective agency. You two are having an affair, aren't you? I said in a low voice, and they both widened their eyes. But then, they burst into laughter. Oops, caught us. But really, it's good you noticed, Tommy. What do you mean? We were pushing it to the edge, seeing if you'd notice. The perfume, the song, hiring a detective, so desperate. It's hilarious. You're saying you wanted me to find out about the affair? Did they match the perfume and song and leave the stamp card intentionally, treating it like a game? Amy, I've grown tired of your face. A work-obsessed, capable woman, just not my type. I heard she was crying because she was jealous of me. It's really funny. I'm younger and more attractive than you, so I'll give you lots of healthy children instead of your sister. Who could have expected such a turn of events? Without any remorse, they provoked me further. I had never imagined they could be so morally decayed. Feeling more anger and disappointment than sadness, I slammed the completed divorce papers on the table. They kept laughing, even after seeing the papers. Thank you, Amy. This makes things easier. He signed the papers without hesitation. I then immediately submitted the divorce papers to the government office, ending our marriage in a surprisingly anticlimactic way. I returned to my parents' house and explained everything to them and my in-laws. Both sets of parents were even angrier than I was about Jane and Tommy's betrayal, considering our long relationship. 2 weeks passed, and I decided to move into a new apartment near my workplace. I had to visit the house I shared with him one last time to prepare for my move. It was a weekday, yet both Tommy and Jane were there. She was already lounging on the couch like she owned the place. I quietly continued packing in silence. Hey, how long are you gonna be here? Get out of this house soon. Yeah, sis, you're not part of this house anymore. The way she had been making herself at home was a stark contrast to now. Perhaps I should have taken a cue from them and coldly turned her away. But that's water under the bridge now. Sooner or later, it would have become clear that Tommy was that kind of person. Maybe I should be thankful to have realized it sooner. Heh, to think I was with that man for over 10 years. It's almost too late. Hey, are you listening? Get out. All right. I'll be gone in an hour, just wait. Just then, the doorbell rang. I opened the front door for Jane, who was not sitting up very well. It was actually good that both of them were here on a weekday, probably wanting to look down on me. You two, blissfully unaware, are at the peak of happiness now, but such fake love and happiness won't last long. I'll make sure of that. Hello. Can we start moving out the stuff right away? Yes. All the large furniture and appliances are fine to take. The rest is packed in boxes. Got it. We'll get started right away. The movers, all in uniform, entered the house and began preparing to move things out, laying down plastic sheets and padding corners. Then he, surprised by the sudden activity, exclaimed, "What's going on?" He should have some idea. Excuse me, could you step aside? You're in the way of the move. Jane, who's still sitting on the couch, also becomes impatient. What? You guys are taking the sofa too? The movers didn't pay any attention to them and efficiently continued their work. I directed them, labeling the boxes with a marker, and everything went smoothly. But they weren't about to watch quietly. Hey, you're taking the TV too? Who gave you permission for this? Please move. You're obstructing our work. Damn it. How much are you taking? This is ridiculous. Who told you to do this? It's trespassing. Despite their protests, the mover calmly replied, "We're just following the instructions we received." I threatened, "If you keep interfering, I'll charge you for the moving costs," and she quieted down. They dumbfounded, watching as their belongings were taken away, their mouths agape. The house, once spacious, felt even larger as it emptied, almost like a new start for the two of them. The place had become eerily quiet and empty. Almost like a new place. In a way, it was the perfect setting for the two of them to start anew, I thought, with a hint of irony. Well, this is it for me. I'm disappearing, as promised. After saying goodbye to the movers and loading my car with my personal items, I made to leave the house quickly. However, just as I was about to get into my car, he grabbed my shoulder. "Hey! What are you doing? This is crazy!" I turned around and glared at him, then both their faces were flushed with anger, clearly upset by the scene that had just unfolded. It seemed they were significantly affected by watching their belongings being moved out right in front of them. "Is this some kind of revenge for kicking me out? You think you can get away with this? What?" Irritated by Tommy's absurd reasoning, I coldly brushed off his hand from my shoulder. "Of course I can. Everything here was bought by me, so it's my right." Indeed, all the furniture and appliances in this house were either my personal belongings from my previous apartment or things I bought before we got married. Anything bought before marriage isn't subject to division of property. So, I'm taking it back. It's not harassment, it's just how it's supposed to be. I looked down at Tommy with disdain, wondering if he even knew that. Jane then turned to Tommy, perplexed. "Wait! What do you mean? You made Sis buy everything." It seemed she had no idea what kind of man he was. I felt obliged to enlighten my naive and ignorant sister about the man Tommy was before we got married. Tommy was aspiring to be a band member after graduating from college, barely making enough from his part-time jobs to cover his daily meals. Our marriage took 10 years because of his unstable income. He eventually got a job at the company I introduced him to. Not a single piece of furniture or appliance was bought by him in this house. We met and dated during our college years, but our paths after graduation were completely different. While I joined a major corporation and worked hard, he pursued his band dreams, avoiding full-time employment and living day-to-day on his part-time earnings. I never denied him his dreams, but marriage was a different story. We married on the condition that if he didn't work, it would be an immediate divorce. I was too focused on my career to think much about romance, and as I approached a certain age, I married Tommy, but there were many conditions to it. I have no intention of belittling myself for being a woman, but the income disparity between me, working at a major corporation, and Tommy, who lived day to day, was just too great. That's why I was the one making big purchases, and all the house's items were bought by me, for both of us. That's why I had no intention of leaving anything for them. Especially when he showed no gratitude for the luxurious life he had been living at my expense. "Is that true, Tommy?" She had probably idealized him, looked at him incredulously. He seemed to go figure, and his eyes wandered around as he froze. Seeing this, her anger became evident, and she adopted an aggressive tone towards him. "But being married means facing the pathetic side of your partner," taught Jane earlier as her sister. Something I perhaps should have taught her earlier as her sister. "But the house contract is in Tommy's name, so the two of you can live here. Lucky, right?" And then whispered to him, "You'll also have to pay the mortgage." He turned pale, realizing the situation he was in. Remarks. But she seemed oblivious, still making carefree remarks. "Yeah. We have the house, so we can just buy everything new. It'll be refreshing to have no memories of Sis around." Then she laughed and slipped into his arms. The disparity between them was clear. And for good reason. I had something up my sleeve. "You two really didn't know anything about each other when you started your affair, did you?" I scoffed. I had more than just the information about their affair from the detective agency. I had hired the detective agency to conduct a background investigation on both of them. The investigation revealed not just the fact of their affair. "Maybe you should honestly tell your beloved girlfriend that you can't afford new furniture or appliances." "What do you mean?" If he can't say it himself, I open my mouth to tell him the truth. So, the detective agency revealed that he had resigned from his job 6 months ago, simply saying it wasn't his thing. Apparently, he quit his job, saying it just didn't feel right to him. I was surprised to hear this, given I had referred him to the company and he had been pretending to work all this time. Upon further inquiry, a colleague mentioned Tommy was disinterested and performed poorly. Clearly, he had been unemployed and kept it hidden. Perhaps thinking he could sell some of our luxurious items to get by, but that plan collapsed right in front of his eyes. Before I finished explaining, she released his arm she had been holding and started interrogating him in fury. "Tommy! I didn't know about this. What's going on?" So you were planning to deceive Jane too? This is ridiculous. Get a job." "I'm sorry." Jane was unilaterally confronting Tommy, pressing him for answers. But the investigation report had more information about Jane too. "It seems you both have secrets, huh?" "What?" "You two have accumulated gambling debts and are heavily in debt, right?" "How did you know that?" "And that's not all. You were fired last month for embezzling company funds to pay off your debts." I began to relay exactly what was written in the investigation report. She was fired last month from her job. The reason was she got caught embezzling company funds to pay off her debts. The company, concerned about publicity, had fired her instead of avoiding police action. Your company was a major corporation, wasn't it? Getting fired like that, you really did something foolish. Before she could even respond to me, he turned on her, confronting her aggressively. Gambling? Why are you wasting money and getting into debt over that? I was counting on your financial strength. Shut up. You quit your job too, so stop acting all high and mighty. They were fiercely arguing with each other. Both had been scheming to marry for money, thinking it was okay to take it easy and keep secrets from each other. They were truly selfish and opportunistic. While they were bickering, I got into my car, fastened my seatbelt, and started the engine. With neither of them working and she in debt, they wouldn't be able to afford new appliances or furniture, let alone continue living in the house. Wait, Amy! Please, I apologize for everything. Just lend me some money. I can't lend money to someone I can't trust. Don't say that. I've been with you for 10 years. Yes, I've wasted 10 years. I won't make the same mistake again. Ignoring him clinging to the window, I stepped on the accelerator. We will never meet again. Goodbye. I gave him a final word and started the car. On the car radio, a popular young girl group, currently on the rise, was being introduced. The song that they said as their ringtone started playing. I hadn't paid much attention before, but it's a good song. I turned up the volume and drove away from the house I once shared with Tommy, enjoying the pop music. After that, I don't know the exact details of what happened to them. But according to hearsay, it seems that they moved from a house to a wooden apartment together, and he continues to refuse to officially register with her. He seems to scrape together enough for daily meals through day labor, but of course, it's not like the luxurious life they had before. She couldn't endure such a miserable life and seemed to try to return to her parents, but it seems she was turned away because her parents already knew the reason for the divorce from me. The parents sternly condemned Jane as our family's shame and said, "Don't cross our threshold again." They disowned her. After that, she seems to have been drifting between internet cafes for a while, but soon ran out of money. She's now working in a borderline illegal night establishment, repaying debts. Meanwhile, Tommy, abandoned by her, lost his motivation to work and is reportedly living in the park. I heard about their current situation from an acquaintance who knows them while having coffee at a cafe near the office. While there's a slightly sympathetic feeling when hearing about their situation, I also think it's a quite natural result. I only conveyed the truth and distanced myself from them. If they had the strength to lift themselves up and respect each other, I believe they could have easily turned things around. They chose the path of their own downfall. That's all there is to it. Parting ways with the acquaintance who shared the story, I returned to my own life. With fewer worries, I could concentrate more on my work. I achieved success steadily. Furthermore, I had a wonderful encounter at work and am soon planning to get married. Feeling a sense of relief for breaking free from the past and acknowledging it as a source of personal growth, I quietly express gratitude for my current happiness.